Welcome to this amazing convergence of the Portal to Ascension upcoming Glastonbury conference in September. Go to ascensionglastonbury.com to get all the latest. But today we have a preview of some of the great speakers, amazing speakers that are going to be at that conference. So my name's Alan Steinfeld, sitting in for my good friend Neil, formerly from Arcturus, but he will be checking in with us. Thanks, Neil. Okay, let's bring on the speakers because we have a bunch of them today. And there she is, Leanne and Mikhail Kroon. I think, Mikhail, you had to leave first. So we're going to talk about Glastonbury, the conference coming up, why that's such an important place and why it's such an important moment in time. So go ahead. Why don't you talk about your brand of knowledge?
Yeah, well, it's an amazing moment in time because the vibration is going up so much, even though it doesn't always seem like it if we watch the events going on in the world. It's definitely going up, and Avalon, Glastonbury is the heart chakra. Is one of the centers, energetic centers around the globe where that vibration is really rising. So we'll be right in the middle of it. And Leanne and I are right in the middle of it a lot as well.
Oh, hey, Leanne. Where,
Yeah,
where are you now?
I'm current. Well, at the moment, I'm currently staying at my. I've come down to visit my dad, and I'm in his comic room, so I'm surrounded by lots of amazing comics.
And where is that? What town is that in?
I'm in Bournemouth in Dorset, which is
Oh,
down
okay.
the south coast. But
Well,
normally we're living together in Glastonbury, Mikhail and I.
do you share together or are you separate doing it together?
Mikhail and I live normally.
Oh, well, then talk about what you're going to share about together and we'll go deeper. Go ahead, either one, Leanne or Mikhail, go share. Um,
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. I
We
mean,
we are really excited. So
yeah,
to share from this Avalon energy, and we're gonna share a lot about discernment, about being able to really see the new vibration and tell it apart from the old energy, because this is so important. We got to avoid that our mind gets hijacked. There's so many people trying to get our attention, trying to.
be specific exactly what's your realm of sharing. What exactly will you share,
we're going to be
Leanne?
talking. Yeah, we're going to be talking about discernment and how to find the energies that are right for you, that will take you forward, that will help you expand, that will help you anchor in the new earth energies.
Well,
And
well, how do you do that? Can you give us a little taste? Because people are always
Yeah,
looking for bigger
but you can
discernment.
use the deck. So
what
you
do you
can
say,
use
Dan?
the Lemurian star chart oracle because it helps
Yeah,
to connect with your heart.
it's all about bringing you back into a space of like calm within yourself, despite all the headlines and the fear mongering and the competitive society kind of promptings, trying to make you just get distracted. It's about coming back into your own heart and your own sovereignty and your own ability, really, to know, to know the truth from being grounded and being at peace within your body and not all over the place. So the deck which we created over 3 years, the Lemurian Star Child Oracle, is very much about bringing you whatever the situation, whatever card gets pulled, and spirit was very much part of the creation of the deck. So people.
Is it more empowered by being in the heart chakra, by doing that? Is that the idea of doing that particular thing there?
Yeah, it's empowering for sure, because you're basically working with your own energy field, and you're more aware of your own energy, and more aware. You can see through the agendas around you. You know, so we talk a lot in the deck about the old paradigm energies and programming, and the new paradigm, the new earth, the energies that we recognize ourselves from Lemuria, the Lemurian experience, and you know, ascended civilizations that we remember through our Akashic records.
Right. So, Mikael, what's your background in all this? Where are you coming from? Like, what's your training? Who's been your teachers and influences? People always like to know that. And then I'll ask you, Leanne. So, Mikael.
Well, I was into non-duality for a while, and I kind of went away from it because my life really stagnated. You know, I got too nihilistic. I've seen you talk to people about non-duality as well, so I think you know a bit about it.
I know, but I don't have any patience for it
Yeah.
particularly. I mean, I
Well, I
think
think it's a trap, you know, as well. It can be
it's
helpful
it,
to
yeah, not to take it seriously, but we're here to do something. I think we're
well,
really
this is
here.
the thing, you know, this is, and it led me onto like a space where I was just, my life stagnated. I didn't really know what I was going to do because the teachings were telling me just to do nothing.
Yeah.
So it was very insightful, but it ultimately didn't work for me. So then I went to Glastonbury, and that's where I started to connect with angels and with Pleiadian beings of light. And it's just like this channel of light opened, and it was amazing. It was just
Mhm.
like this higher vibration was coming in this heart chakra.
So,
So,
yeah, where did Leanne come in? How did she fit into the picture
well,
there?
I was going to do an exhibition in Glastonbury together with a mutual friend, and so Leanne was coming to help as well. So that's kind of how we connected. And the exhibition was about Pleiadians and white lions. So it was very cosmic.
Mm.
It was all perfect moment where, you know, a lot of things came together. I really love that about Glastonbury.
Mm.
It's just a place where things really come together, and there's lots of synchronicities. So I
Yeah, I
think
was
that's the
very
power of
much
the place.
at that point, and we met and clicked and what have you. Um, but yeah, my background is having. Oh, is Alan all right? Oh, you there?
I'm
So
here.
my background is having a Kundalini awakening when I was about 19, and then kind of embarking on a healing journey really to repair my aura.
Hmm.
And part of that healing journey was like spiritual healing, um, and it helped me a great deal. Uh, and
Well,
so meditating and what have you.
well,
But
what I really want to get out of this roundtable discussion is the bleed through of these other dimensions at this time, and how the world we think is there is really this interdimensional veil that is actually getting thinner and thinner. So just say something about that, and then I'll bring the other panelists on. So
yeah,
go ahead,
well,
Leanne.
yeah, we're both very multidimensional in our awareness. So I had a second awakening in 2011 and totally connected with my Lemurian memories and loads of past lives and um, you know, starry energies and
Mm.
um, elementals, and all of that kind of comes through in my artwork, which I'm doing full time now.
Oh.
And the other thing is, when I was in my healing journey, I kind of kind of went on into psychology and became a clinical psychologist. So I've got kind of quite a solid and grounded background in helping people, I would say, kind of clear the traumas and the dysfunctional stuff from their lower chakras and helping them to raise their vibration up into their part.
Great. Mikhail, what's your multidimensional connection?
Well, it started in Glastonbury, connecting to this light family, and I started to draw light language, and then sing it as well. So that was really amazing. It just came through spontaneously, and I started to do sessions for people as well with the light language, and just doing these kind of transmissions from source. So I really connected with multidimensional realms through expressing light language and receiving it as well, and then really understanding my guides and connecting with them and receiving energy from them, or kind of seeing that they've always been around, really. So it's amazing, that journey. So that all happened in Glastonbury as well.
Well, it's going to be happening to more and more people in Glastonbury. I just wanted to bring you two on because you said you had to leave, but let's bring everyone else into the room, Neil. So
Yeah, brilliant. I'm staying a bit longer, actually. It was just because it's quite late here, so it's easier to do it early. But I've still got more energy.
Adam Apollo, Debbie Dashinger, of course, Phil Gruber, Elite, Nan Akasha, and Laura Eisenhower, of course. Laura Eisenhower. Great. Well, so that was just a kind of preview of what I think we could really cover today, because it is about this multi-dimensional realm. And for people who don't think that's real, because it's not in this 3D reality, but it is in the kind of I would say imaginal realm, not imaginary, but in a realm that transcends the physical but intersects with the physical. So, and I think Glastonbury is one of those crossing points that does that. It allows these things in and out of different dimensional realities. So let's get an idea about how would you explain that, Adam Apollo. Always good to see you, my friend. Or should I call on someone else first? Or
No, I'm always ready to jump right in. You know how I am.
I know how we've been through many panels the last few years.
Yeah, indeed, indeed.
How do you explain that, the sort of science and logic and intuition of those interdimensional crossing points?
Well, a lot of it, I think, can be explained by understanding causal time and entanglement. The understanding that we've been in a lot of sacred places for many, many ages as people means that we've been in relationship with the land. And when we come into relationship with the land and the devas of the land and the stones, the rocks, the trees, we are entangling ourselves with that land. And there is a resonance that is contained in the stone, in the rock, and that resonance will reawaken when we return to those spaces. Now, that, of course, is locality based. I'm talking about being in a region or in an area where bridges are synchronized through time of moments and experiences we may have had in the past to the present. But often our souls experience this as glimpses of other worlds, the other time colliding with our own, apparitions of friends, lovers, beloveds that we knew from that time crossing into our consciousness, communicating with us again as we restore and reawaken that memory. Now, of course, all of that doesn't account at all for the astral realm and the devas and the beings that spend time simply outside of the physical world that connect to us, commune with us, and engage with us. But I don't want to mistake the fact that many of the kinds of transmissions that someone like Michael is getting coming from Pleiadian beings aren't just astral transmissions. There's beings on other planets that have learned the art of planetary stewardship, who have been in communion with those of us here on this planet for a long time. And there were specific periods like Avalon where that communion was stronger, because there was groups of soul families coming together in sacred ceremony at sacred portals created long before by the Tuatha De Danann, and reawakening the codex of the sacred oracle, sword and chalice, staff and stone, reconnecting the galactic wisdom and knowledge to this planet to be in service for generations to come.
Beautiful, beautiful. I see Nan Akasha shaking her head. Nan, what do you have to add to that? Thank you, Adam.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Adam. Well, I agree. You know, many people know the mists of Avalon, especially if you're from the US, and the idea that you had to be trained to have that ability to enter the mists, to cross the mists from the 3D realm, which at that time that we're talking about was Christian, was taken over by the Michael Monastery and the Templars and the Holy Grail and all of these things. And yet the existence of these other realms we're talking about, they exist right now, right here. They're
Right.
not, they didn't disappear. The Mists of Avalon closed in the story because it was the time on the planet when we left that connection to the goddess, when we left that truly mystical realm of believing in and respecting the sacred feminine. That the sacred feminine, sacred masculine is what's coming back now, the balance of it. They're both out of balance. None of us have experienced that in reality in our 3D world. And yet this incredible evolution that we're in is just tearing down these barriers within our mind, within our aura, within our field. And for me, it's a connection of soul lineages, sort of like what Adam said. They may be on this planet, they may be on other planets, but the mists of Avalon are getting thinner, like the veils everywhere. And so as priestesses, as shamans, as all of the wisdom keeping lives that we've had on this planet especially, and anyone called here I'm sure had at least one in this area, is that reawakening of respecting what was called the goddess, but doesn't mean that you have to be a woman. It's respecting the divine intuition, the divine marriage of the two. And we have the Mary and the Michael lines and the dragon lines and so many of these energies. We got the sacred waters that create earth spirals and gateways and currents in the area. So these are very alive. And I feel people called to this are going to be coming and they're going to be awakening. They're being called from within. You know, we're saying, hey, come and join us. We're going to do this wonderful thing. It's going to be amazing. Come on this trip. But it's really a soul calling. It's really an awakening from within that is saying your soul wants to be whole again. And that wholeness is needed right now for people to disconnect from the trauma and drama going around, or the big story that's going on around us in the world, and coming into that union within ourselves to remember. So this morning I've been channeling, I've been bringing through a lot of Morgan Le Fay and the Lady of the Lake and Merlin and the dragons and a lot of the energies. And today we went with the priestesses of Avalon, and crossing that veil is very real. I know people do it all the time who visit, who may just be there as a tourist. So it's really a beautiful opportunity to come with a group of people like this who have different skills, different expertise, different aspects, that we can keep opening those doors. And then as a group, the power of this moment, like you said, is that the veil is thinner, the awakening is happening, and who is being called is maybe don't understand that. And yet this is a call from your star child, your magical child. The wounded identity that we've been carrying is no longer powerful. It is dying on the vine. It's falling off of us. And this place holds mystical, magical earth energies. There's chakras in the abbey.
Nan. We'll get back to that. I want to bring some other people into discussion. Like Eli's been in and out of this place, in and out of these dimensions for a long time. So, talk about that intermixing of these levels of consciousness and reality, and why places like this remind us of who we really are.
So, this next level of ascension is moving into 5D. And, a great way to understand 5D is it is multidimensional. And it's quite interesting to see what's happening on the planet at this time, where even science has quite literally brought us to the edge of the third dimension, opened the door to the multiverse. Quite literally, we are at the ending of time. And so as we are moving into 5D, we are becoming multidimensional. Where a great way to understand 5D is it is multidimensional. We're working across multiple dimensions and perspectives. And so from the point of now, we access simultaneous timelines and realities playing out next to each other. So when it comes to integrating the multidimensionality, a great way to understand this is really just relaxing into our soul essence. You know, when we introduce terminology like multidimensional, it can seem like really complex and even overwhelming. I remember when I first was introduced to this term, multidimensional, it was like, oh my gosh, more dimensions. But when we relax into our soul essence, which already exists in these higher dimensional realms of consciousness, it can feel like nostalgia. It can feel like we're coming home. And so Glastonbury and other vortexes on the planet, I'm currently in the Pyrenees, which is another place which is like a spiral staircase of ascension all the way home to the kingdoms, is like these vortexes, they assist us in remembering where we were experiencing this higher consciousness before. And it's easier to tap into those higher states of being that are ultimately within ourselves. And so
Yes.
they lay dormant within the ancient akasha of the lands. And it is this we're ultimately tapping into as we are in multidimensional awakening. You know, there's many different ways to understand it as the nature of multidimensionality. I follow Cryon. I know a few people on this panel also do. But Cryon says, in 5D, all is. And so there are different ways to describe it. Rather than there being a right or wrong, all is. And so this within itself is a huge concept to assist us in understanding the nature of it. We can't put it in a box like we do in 3D. Rather, all truths ultimately unify.
Right. I think we are all talking about the same thing from actually a multidimensional angle. I mean, everyone has had deep study in this field. I know Laura has dived into this field of levels of reality. And also what I love about Laura is her ability to activate people, to stir them into their own awakening. So Laura, why are you coming to Glastonbury and what's so exciting about it for you?
Just a quick note, Alan, for the recording.
Yes.
Your mic is edging a little bit. It's redding out a little bit. So
it's distorting. You need a little space, like to pull your mic back.
How's that? Is that better? Is that better?
It's still
better.
too
Better.
A little too
loud.
hot.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Or maybe lower the volume.
I'm lowering it, but I
Sorry,
think
Laura,
it's
please go ahead.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure it was decent for later.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited. It's just ancient memories stir when you're in a location like this, because you know this is an area that is the activation in so many ways. And I feel all of us have been drawn to do this work because we've been searching for these aspects of ourselves, remembering these aspects of ourselves, living out these aspects of ourselves also in our lives. I always felt this incredible pull to this part of the world, and went there last year with the group. And when I heard it was happening again and I saw everybody that was coming, I'm like, absolutely want to be here. It's just amazing because we go through so many initiations in life and so many, different growth periods that the 3D world will encourage us to misunderstand or give our power away to something outside of us, to label it, to drug it, to manage it. And in a location like this, it's about just embracing, all of these aspects, the light and the dark, the cycles of nature, the maiden, mother, the crone, all the archetypes of, the mother and the father, and the ley lines of the Michael Mary, and how the reversal grid technologies that have made it very, very difficult for us to access these levels of ourselves and even know how to hold this and embody it and experience it with others is something that we're really being called to reclaim and embody and return to. And so these particular, lines of energy, the sacred sites around this area, going from, Cornwall to Avery Henge to, Glastonbury, there's been just powerful dragon beings and stasis that have been waiting for its family members that have taken human form to return to the land and share in this circulation of energy, in this clearing of the reversals through holding, the vibration of a like a correction, and it's happening on a cosmic level. Like the planetary alignments, the Venus transits are creating these corrections. But if we don't stand in alignment, if we're not a conduit to that energy, it's very hard to have that exchange with the healing planet that is getting back on track after these cataclysms and different events that took place that just made it very, very difficult for the ether element to be available. And now with the 13th sign of Theicus and the significance of the mother arc connected to the 13 and how that relates to the Magdalene and, you know, this process of ascension that we're in, it's amazing to experience this in a location that needs the guardian holders of this template. And so all the planetary alignments are either something we experience through the initiations and growth periods that can feel very painful, but if we answer to ourselves and not give the power away when it feels uncomfortable, we're actually moving through the gatekeepers, we're dissolving the fences, and we're really rebuilding that 12-strand DNA again. But all the psyops and the false flags like tend to try and hijack this and distract it away. So I feel this is an incredible thing that we're doing because we're all being called to not allow those distractions and those reversal technologies and the programmings to infect our creative channels, which is bringing in a much more beautiful future. And I feel we're the script writers, and this is a place to really empower that with each other. So,
well, thank you. That sounds great. How do I sound? Better, Adam? Is that a little better? A little softer. I can't help but get excited, so I raise my voice. I'll try to internal.
It just means, you know, just like on a stage, you got to have them dial the board back or dial the mic down because you bring so much power, right?
What are you going to do? Anyway, thanks. But I would love to talk to Phil, but let me get Debbie involved in the conversation because Debbie, you're going to be hosting some of that. And I know you are a multidimensional being. What do you hope to bring to Glastonbury and get from being there with all these amazing teachers?
Yeah, amazing teachers. I mean, first of all, I'm very fortunate and I love this company. It's my favorite place to be and my favorite tribe. Thank you, Alan. And besides hosting, I'm also presenting. I'm doing my own workshop and I'm bringing my lineage, which is shamanic. It's the Karo people, it's the Peruvians. And I've been on that path a long time. And the shamans, you know, who have been around for 2.6 million years. And the first were women who are medicine women who could leave this realm and go to other unseen places and heal. It's very powerful, especially because where we are going location-wise, it's supposed to be the heart chakra of the world. And so the thing that's going to heal the planet right now and heal humanity, of course, is love. We don't need saving, we need loving. And the other element I want to pull in that's also very multidimensional is one of my favorite subjects. And that is, I hope you guys can see this, but I have some dragons here and I am just mad, crazy in love with dragons. I have a strong relationship with them. I also
is that a solid white quartz dragon?
That is a solid white onyx dragon.
My goodness.
Named Albatrax. And here is a dragon egg with, I don't know if you can see the baby in the egg, but yeah, they surround me while I work. And the dragon energy, you know, it's often kind of like how extraterrestrials are misrepresented in films and television. Also, dragons are very often. I mean, dragons are fierce, beautiful, powerful, loving, and often gentle animals, but they become fierce and angry when their boundaries are passed or they're mistreated and so forth. So I feel a great benevolence with them. And the area we're going to, this is about dragons and goddess, and they're both related to each other, plus the heart chakra. And for me, as an energetic shaman, as a wind shaman who communicates, who sings this healing into being, this is so important for us right now to be in these ley lines during this time of joyous and very powerful change.
Well, I'll come back to you because I want to know the connection between the goddess and the dragon, because somehow I think it's related to Eve and the serpent somehow, or that was how it came down and distorted that way. But let me get to Phil first, and then we'll go around and talk more about dragons and goddesses. And, Phil Gruber.
So, Alan, what do you want from me? 4 o'clock in the morning here in Singapore.
Want Phil.
Hi, Alan. Hi, everybody.
He talked to me like that. He used to live in this apartment with me in New York City.
Hold on a second, Ray. It's a camel crossing. Hold on.
Oh, there you go.
I'm so excited about this trip. I almost got Adam. We almost got to connect last year in San Diego. Laura, all of you. I've not met any of you, and I'm so looking forward to going back to Glastonbury. Of all my travels over the years, Glastonbury is right at the top of the places in the world that I really feel that Abbey. When I'm in the Abbey and I'm playing my little auto harp, I just feel that it feels like home. And there are many places on this planet that I feel that way. Glastonbury's right up there. So, and what I'm going to be sharing over the weekend, it's just particularly relevant that I'm sharing it there in Glastonbury because I teach a lot of this kind of information that I'm going to share at the conference in many other places, but doing it like a lot of you have also iterated that doing this in Glastonbury and what we're going to be sharing there.
What are you going to be sharing, Phil? Don't talk about what you're going to talk about. What you actually will be sharing.
I'm actually going to be talking about the angelic human's original sacred mission, our divine commission as planetary guardians. Mm-hmm. I'm going to talk about a lot of forbidden history, the true origins and nature of the angelic human race, our sacred mission of planetary guardianship. I'm going to talk about King Arthur, Arthurus or Arthas, and the Knights of the Round Table and what the Rainbow Round Tables are actually meant to do. I'm going to talk about the Magi Arthurian angelic human grail lines. I'm going to talk about now you got me going. See, now my understanding of the mists of Avalon are the liquid light, the hydroplasmic levels of what we call the Christos, the 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensions. And there is I'll talk about we later, but my understanding of the mists of Avalon are these liquid light pre-matter hydroplasmic levels of the 10th, 11th, and 12th dimension, which is really relevant because I understand the 11th dimension that there is a planet, if you can call it a planet. It used to be called Avion in very, very ancient teachings, Aveyon, but because of mistranslations and semantic depletion, that is known as Avalon. So the connection with Avalon and the Christos and the meaning of the Christos and the healing of humanity, it's all tied up. It's really, I'm going to try to sort of weave some threads that tie a lot of this stuff together. And I am so looking forward to this. And just let me tell you that where Alan is now in his apartment, I've had the rare privilege of living with Alan on and off over the years. He just got rid of my futon after, 25 years. So it's making me really homesick. Glastonbury, I'm homesick.
Okay.
I'm sure I know a lot.
Thank you, Phil. We don't have to get that personal, but thank you.
Thank you. So I'm just really pleased and honored and privileged and humbled to be part of this conference, and I just can't wait to see you all.
I'll come back to you, Phil. Of course, we always get back together. But Leanne, I know you have to go soon. Can you just add some comments about the whole idea of the dragons and the goddess and well, it's happening now for lots of reasons, but what's your take on that connection between the goddess and the dragon energies?
Well, I can't say that I can really comment on that. I can comment on dragons.
Comment on dragons then, because I think we have to understand what dragons are, because everyone has their. So go comment on dragons, please.
Well,
they're multidimensional beings, aren't they?
Yeah, in meditation, definitely I've connected with dragons, and they are really amazing creatures, gentle as well. I've been shown that they like to just stay high above the density wavelengths that we get more lower down on the kind of earth sea level. And that's why they like the top of the mountains and they like flying, but they're really affected. Obviously, they're very physical. They're very affected by the magnetics. You know, the lower vibrations kind of, they get hooked in to dense thing. So they're kind of like a teacher for us in a way, because they've got this huge power, and we've got this huge power to, we can be aware of. And we're a bit like dragons, really. If we keep our vibration high, we can be a really good force for peace and for equanimity, kind of going beyond polarization. But if we get hooked into some kind of argument or fight or good and bad stuff, that's always going to be, or not always, I don't want to make that happen, but is playing out at the moment for sure. But we can get pulled in, we can get vibration lowered. The dragons get a bad rap because I guess they got pulled in and they use their power in kind of destructive ways. And I don't know, they certainly seem happier on top of the mountain.
Well, Mikhail, have you seen dragons? Have you interacted with them?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, high dimensional dragons. Yeah.
What was it like? How did you access that, and what was your experience?
Well, one of our cards is Beyond Cycles from the Oracle deck, and another one, Sovereignty. Actually, it's all about raising your vibration to go beyond being hooked in by anything. People trying to get your energy this way or that way, and the dragon energy just burns through that. And sorry,
their hard scales are like symbolic for that.
Oh,
the power of sovereignty. You get hooks thrown at you, but you don't get.
Oh, I remember you had some great art last year in Glastonbury. I remember meeting you at the gallery. Well, hang in for a while. I want to go to our galactic historian, Adam Apollo. When did we lose the dragons? Because obviously, if they exist in the British Isles and in China and probably a lot of other places, they were a presence here, and then suddenly they weren't. What happened, Adam?
We never lost the dragons, Alan. I'm here. We're all here. Many of the tribe are here. It's been a journey through time, but for many of us, we were physical dragons on another world. Most of us have placed that in a planet in the Andromeda system. And being a dragon was all about alchemy. It was about understanding our relationship to the elements, to matter, to the flow of creation itself. And when I finally got back to the soul memory of when I chose to become a dragon, to incarnate that way in the first place, it was because I saw something challenging, terrifying, fearful, something that was a different part of the lens of God than I'd ever faced before, something that in a way would force me to grow by engaging with that which may otherwise terrify my being, that my being had never encountered before. And so in becoming a dragon, I chose to take the path, not turn away from things that are scary or dark or manipulative or controlling or whatever lens you might put on all of that trauma, but instead to come to it with the piercing force of my Eldunari open, my heart literally beating with the rhythm of the shamanic drumbeat that could liberate consciousness from its places of pain. And to know that I and all beings are in fact transmuters of alchemy. We have the capacity to come with the truth of who we are and bring healing through that, not to bypass, not to go around, not to say that's negative and so I must ignore it in order for my amazing, fifth dimensional realities to stay all perfect and nice, but rather to take in the full scope of what it means to become and to be, and to know that in every single person that's ever done dark things, there is a spark of divine light and truth that can be reclaimed if we're willing to dive deep into that cavern to do so. And this, I believe, truly is the lineage of the Tuatha De Danann, which is the work that I'm bringing to this adventure here together, because for me, in my own soul's journey, I know exactly how deeply the wisdom from the different star systems who came the 3 islands in the sky that came to the Iron Mountain and brought with them the 4 sacred treasures, the sword of light of Nuada, the cauldron of the Dagda, the spear of Lug, and the stone of Fall, the sacred tools that became the sigils of the tarot and that carried magic through time. The sword of light of Nuada disappearing, becoming Caliburn, disappearing, and reemerging as Excalibur. The wisdom keeping of the knowledge of the dragon, giving forth titles, not names like Pendragon, but titles, the Andragon, the of the dragon. This is a reclaiming that we are a part of right now. And so for me, I wouldn't say that we've ever lost the dragons, that we've just changed forms. And on this planet, it's a little tough to be a gigantic, 100-foot tall dragon serpentine being when you've got these little scared monkeys running around with giant spears thinking that they have to kill you in order to prove their worth or their might. It's just not a very fun realm to be in the physical around anymore. The dragon riders have all migrated to the Syrian system where you still got dragons and you can still ride them and you can still fly them. But here on Earth, it's a little bit more challenging. And a lot of that is because of the lineage of Christianity and many of the stories through time that have distorted the nature of the serpent and the dragon, all the way to even the serpent, as you mentioned. But of course, all the renderings of the great saint slaying the dragon is the very symbolism of the destruction of the goddess. And that is the interconnection.
Thank you. Yes.
Divine, that way to God that says relinquish all, let go of everything, transcend, go to higher dimensions. That's only one path. And that path, even when you realize the divine nature, you still got to go back down into your day-to-day life and reality. And the love of the goddess is learning how to engage with the challenges and the dynamics of life and fall in love with your life, because every single moment, every single thing, every part of matter is the mother. That's
Amen.
Allowing the high vibrations.
Laura, I know you get. What's that, Mika? What was that?
No, I was saying it's more about like the higher vibrations, allowing them to come into the body and to come into your life, affect your life, and kind of like raise everything up.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because honestly, vibration is a spectrum. Songs suck when they're just high frequency, right? So we need the base frequencies because they're actually about communion with the earth and the elementals. Yes. So I think of it as bringing a higher, more integrative perspective, not just frequency, but perspective, to seeing the sacredness in all things across all levels of vibration, from the infinitely high to the infinitely low.
Right. Thank you. Laura, you deal with that a lot, going into those other realms and bringing back the light and the power. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think it's really like a process of alchemy and moving past the fences and the net that we've been sort of encased in and reincarnating into. I feel a lot of us incarnated in a different way. We have agreements and to come in. And it's not an easy density to drop into. So I was always out of my body and doing a lot of energy work. And I knew that I was kind of living a double life and I didn't have to explain it to anybody. And if I tried to, it just would be laughed off. So I'm like, okay, I don't think it's going to fly, but I'm still doing it, so it doesn't matter. And I gained a greater understanding when I really worked with people that could see clearly. It wasn't like I fell into doubt, but it was really hard to walk in the human vessel and have this going on without any relatability. And I knew that I would eventually meet my soul family and that there would come a day. It was just like, just don't go to Mars and just don't die and you'll meet them. But I feel like I've died so many times within this physical body, which is part of the greater initiation, which I feel a place like Glastonbury really holds, dying and being reborn, moving through the labyrinth, going through that dark night of the soul, finding that lantern of wisdom. And that dragon energy is so powerful, because when we look at Tiamat and the explosion of Tiamat and how that really broke down our divine template, and we've been holding a lot of galactic memories and traumatic memories of, this and the need to repair the 12-strand embodiment. and how the root races came in, the 5 cloister races and the star seeds, and how this rebuilding process has been underway for quite some time after that explosion, and then Maldek, and how that's really thrown off our ability to hold this. And it's been leveraged and taken advantage of because of our amnesia, because of rewritten history, because of timeline manipulation. And so, to me, that dragon energy, the dragon in relationship to the mother, and what everybody just said so beautifully, is such an activation in this part of the land. And it is really offsetting the lower octave expression of the reptilian, I feel. And it is connected to the land. It is part of the ley lines and the beings that have been held in stasis that are, coming to life. And it's also our ability to burn through all this density and reach into the multidimensional nature of all that we are, that is able to come and go as we please. And when we look at Ophiuchus, when we look at the 13th sign and the ether being available, our capacity to heal and purify the nucleic acids of our DNA, which are elemental, are at a level that we haven't experienced in like 26,000 years or so. And I feel in that purifying energy that ignites the dragon and the understanding and ability to see those that walk amongst us that are that hold that guardian energy, like Adam and others, and that lineage connection, or that family connection. It's like, wow, we're activating each other. We're helping each other switch on. There's been genocides and holocausts and massacres of the true teachings for so long, the real teachings of the Essenes, and understanding the mother as law. And so many inverted stories and so many things that we've been taught to fear. People actually were for a time fearing the dragon. So it's like just the rebuilding of ourselves through the opening up to the consciousness of all that already is and that exists, that is hiding in dormancy or just asleep, ready to be reawoken through our capacity to feel it and to walk through these initiations with great mindfulness and understanding, instead of the misunderstanding that seeks to suppress it, control it, and medicate it. So
that's beautiful. No, I think that's really giving an idea of why people want to be there with these levels of activation and initiation. Debbie, you heard something Adam said, and you said, yeah, what was that? What were you referring to there?
Oh, there was a few things there. I mean, that was really great. I mean, the first one was just a recognition when he said the dragons are from Andromeda, because I know that's part of my galactic history. So I love when these pieces come up like this, and it's constantly reaffirming and synchronistic. And the other thing he said, which is exactly what I was thinking when you asked the question earlier about Eve, it's such a bastardized story. There is nothing real about it, but it's been religionized. And essentially it was taking something with a sacred animal, by the way, the serpent, and then it was taking a female and making her so wrong that she destroyed all of humanity forevermore. Amen. And definitely, I mean, amen. And so it's none of that is real. And we are living in a time, right? And what this time is about is all of this stuff. The underbelly keeps coming up to be seen, to be healed, to be dealt with, to be known the truth of. And to address the other part of your question earlier, so goddesses are directly associated with dragons. Now, this is not my expertise, but I'm a nerd. And because we're going and because, I'm into dragons and stuff and goddesses, all of this is interesting to me. And there's a lot of goddesses who have had very positive relationships with dragons. It is one of the most primordial, ancient forms for the divine feminine, you will see, is the dragon. And you've heard other people saying the red and the white dragons, the land of Glastonbury. So we're coming because they're waking up. They're waiting for us in September to go there and to be with them. This is the sacred land that the Celtic sovereign goddesses link directly to the ancient people. And so...
Wait, let me just ask, Adam, what is that you're showing us? Is that, which goddess is that?
Who do you think, Alan? Come on. You know your goddesses, right?
I would say it looks like a Kuan Yin.
Yeah, that's right.
It is Kuan Yin.
And she's on a dragon. Exactly.
She's the Shihali embodiment of Dragon Rider.
So wait, you were saying, Debbie, sorry. You were
and why? Yes, thank you for that representation. Exactly. The beautiful thing about this that is so exciting is with the healing of the Eve story, with the rising of the divine feminine, which is a time we are in right now, to come back to the mother, it is really part also of a shamanic prophecy called the Pachacuti. The Pachacuti occurs every 500 years. We are right now in the midst of a Pachacuti, not a myth, not a prophecy in the sense that this is real and happening. And there are many things that will occur. It's a shaking up of time to make everything right. We're not right yet. But one of the many things that will occur is that the rise of the divine feminine will occur. And what does that mean? We've been living in this incredible, agreed upon masculine way of being, meaning they're too active, too busy, too much to do, too much here, right? And the longest walk many of us will make is from the head to the heart, owning our shadow, working on our stuff, and coming from love of the planet, reverence for the earth and the ley lines and everything of the dragons and all the animals and all of humans and ourselves also, very important. So this is all so interconnected, why we're going there, what this represents, that they're all so connected, the goddess, the dragon, the humans, the Pachacuti, and everything else, that we are in a time of great healing and great choice. And the choice, I think we all opt for, is the light.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I want to talk to Nan. You're right there. I can feel you right there.
Yeah, right up my alley. Yeah, goddesses and yeah, I've spent over 16, 26 to 20 years in the goddess and Wiccan Celtic culture, and I'm a shaman as well. And what they've been telling me is this is the year of the dragon. So the year of the dragon in Chinese astrology, this is a green wood dragon. It's a masculine energy according to the Chinese, but that means green wood is new wood, and it's building. It's energy that builds, and it's full of opportunity. And what the dragon and the goddess, and we've got all these images that I've been working with of the two coming together, is that the dragon is the Kundalini. It is the life force. It is what Eve was told, but there's Lilith. And Lilith was the original woman. And she was the woman who said, yeah, I'm eating that apple of knowledge. And this is the Isle of the Apple. This is the Apple Isle. And this is the isle where the original sacred feminine was revered for knowing the truth, for having that life force. And the dragon is coming to build the structure so that the sacred feminine can come inside of it. That is the balance of the sacred masculine feminine that is rising this year. Next year is the sacred serpent, and that's the feminine. So we're in for a lot of changes, but the goddess and everything that Debbie and everyone said, that rise of our intuition, that rise of shedding the burned at the stake and being forbidden and being, I mean, it's literally in the law and in the Bible, you may not talk directly to the divine. This is what women do. This is what the divine feminine does in any form. So the goddess and the dragon are twining like that caduceus. They're twining like the DNA, and they're coming back together so that we can build a structure for the safety, the protection, and the blossoming of the sacred feminine to come back. And this is such a beautiful place to do it for all the other reasons everyone else said.
Well, that's so good. What are you showing us there, Leanne?
Can't tell.
I can't see.
You're muted, sweetie.
What? Oh, what are you showing?
It's not very clear, is it?
It's not very clear. I don't know. But let me talk to E, like, because I was just, as you were talking now, I was thinking that E had an incredible Kundalini awakening. And I feel like the Kundalini is that dragon energy, that is the activation of the divine feminine in each of us. So E, do you want to talk about that and your experiences and the awakening of that dragon power in you?
Yeah, well, I'd say the Kundalini, it assists us in tapping into those higher dimensional realms of consciousness. And so many of the dragons, they've actually ascended into the higher realms, and they've left a staircase of ascension for us to follow in their footsteps. And so they're great guides for these times. And I understand a lot of people, when they hear dragons, they feel fear. They think the dragons are bad, but there's many types of dragons. The dragons that I connect with are like gigantic white celestial dragons. And I had a huge awakening to the dragons in 2019. And it changed my life forever. Like, up until this point, I was like incredibly skeptical about the dragons. one of my soul brothers was always talking about the dragons, and I was like, yeah, okay, it's a bit woo, right? And then I was like walking in the Himalayas, and I had an encounter with these two gigantic white celestial dragons. And at the time I was feeling like really weighed down with like human drama. And this encounter with the dragons, they awakened within me the vision of the coming kingdoms of God returning to the earth. And through simply bringing my awareness to this vision, everything that had been weighing me down was lifted and transmuted into love, into light. And the dragon said, why are you letting yourself get weighed down with all this silly human drama? Can you not see what is coming? A time is coming to the earth where humanity will be required to come together and to work together as one human species. Your problems are other people's problems. Their problems are yours, because you are all one. And this is the new planetary consciousness. And these divine kingdoms are bringing such a powerful light to the earth. There will not be a stone unturned upon the planet. And so this was the beginning of my awakening to the dragons. So it came with the kingdom's consciousness. And it was kind of like the first layer. At this time as well, they awakened me to something known as the Galactic year cycle. It's a 250 million year cycle, the time it takes to travel around the galaxy as a sun and as a solar system and as a planet, 250 million years. And so we as a human species, we are in the process of becoming one galactic year old. Kind of puts things into perspective as to how old we actually are. We're very young within the universe. And so our planet has completed many galactic year cycles before, where the memories of this lay dormant in something known as the metamorphic grid that is directly connected to the dragon. And the dragons and the giants, they come hand in hand. And so 250 million years ago, we weren't here as humans, but there were beings upon the planet. And so the dragons and the giants are some of these beings. And so the metamorphic grid, it quite literally beholds the codes for gigantic awakening to this next level of human evolution where we have never been here before as a human species. You know, we have ascended in great year cycles, but in galactic year cycles, this is totally new. And so the dragons, they're incredibly powerful guides in these times. And I, at the weekend actually, I did an ayahuasca ceremony for the full moon and the summer solstice. And I'm in the Pyrenees, which is one of the ancient, gigantic dragon temples, because this is one of the things they showed me in the Himalayas, is many of these mountains and many of the hills, Glastonbury included, these are actually the remains of the ancient, gigantic races that were upon the earth before the humans. And so the dragons, the giants, these are some of the beings that left their footprints in these mountains. And also in Glastonbury, you have many mounds, and throughout the UK, you've got the metamorphic remembrance. And you know, since I've traveled from the Himalayas in 2019, the metamorphic grid began to speak to me. And the dragons, like speaking through the metamorphic grid, is directly connected to the magnetic field of the planet. And the metamorphic grid is connected to all of the rock bodies upon the planet. And so Glastonbury, deep within the lands of the UK, there is this gigantic remembrance to the dragons and the giants that is coming alive. And so last time I was in Glastonbury, actually, for the Portal to Ascension event last year, the metamorphic grid began to speak to me. And I feel like it's only going to get stronger as we all return and as we are connecting to the dragon wisdom. Like these ancient, gigantic codes are coming online. And so it's incredibly exciting for what is coming, and to be going back there to Glastonbury together and arcing the code to the dragons as well.
That is so great. That is beautiful, beautiful. Phil, why don't we start with, we'll go one more round. Well, Phil, tell us about the dragon connection, and then we'll do our final round. Yeah.
The dragon connect. Well, listen,
and the goddess.
I think this is ultimately about the healing of the intergalactic collective, you know, and it's only going to come through an understanding of the common core of creation, out of which all beings have emerged. A lot of people have different opinions about dragons or Dracos or Dracon or whatnot, but it's got to be understood that there is a point of unity between all interstellar races. There's a common identity shared by all manifest beings. And I think, even including the resurrection of Eve and the healing of her name, you know, and bringing all this stuff out again, bringing the Shekinah out from a state of exile when the temple is rebuilt, when the temple in man is rebuilt, then the temple, the spiritual Israel and that congregation can get back together. And then the presence of God, the Shekinah, what's been ignored or not acknowledged, can come back in her dazzling white radiance and be the liberation of matter in the lower worlds. I think that all of us coming together at this time, there is a synergy, an emerging quality of all of us coming together at this particular time, this particular place, to remember who we are, what our original commission is, to remember who we are, where we come from, why we're here, why we chose to be here. And I think all of us, the big pieces of the puzzle, are going to come together at Glastonbury. So I would really, really recommend anybody who's on the fence about this, has second thoughts, well, have a third thought, have your first thought, go with your gut. You know you want to be there, and I'm really just I'm just really delighted to be part of this adventure.
Well,
And
thank you.
I
Thank you,
love
Phil. It's always great to have you. That's GlastonburyAscension.com for tickets. One last round, just like starting with Lee and Michael. What what about this time you think that why people have to gather now? What do you see, particularly now, why this gathering will be so key for people?
But I'm kind of seeing it from the point of view of what's happening in the world and how many people are kind of, I think, ready to receive a whole new way, a way that resonates with them, which is, the natural unfolding of the heart that's happening. It's a beautiful full resonance, and it reaches people. It's powerful. I don't think there is a more powerful how would I call it, frequency, for want of a better word, but that kind of goes beyond all the crap and beyond all the confusion, because we all understand the heart, and we all, we hopefully there's something that we will remember in all people, because we've had many lifetimes, but when we come in, we kind of we're coming in with a heart mission. And people just are ready not to be pulled around by all the kind of stories and narratives, very sort of what I would call low vibrational, sort of hateful hate and war and conflict, and kind of fearful people being kept in a kind of fearful, powerless place is not really where we want people to be, because it's painful.
Yeah, I was thinking your art really brings through a lot of love and transmission of energies. Do you have anything you could show us right there?
Yeah, well, I'm trying, but
you
I
can't
don't
do it.
know about my dad's, you see.
We'll have to go to Glastonbury to see their art show. Mikael, there.
Oh, Mikael's not there.
This is one of our cards.
You have to shut off your screen background if you can, but yeah, they're
closer to the screen.
Yeah, shut off the background screen if you can.
I don't think I can shut it off, but I can show you the card.
Okay.
It is.
Well, yeah, we gotta get a feel of it. But anything you have to add to that, Mikael, about what you're bringing here to the conference?
Yeah, well, so this card is called Initiation, and it's got a whale on it. And I feel, if you come to Glastonbury, and we're all coming to Glastonbury, it's going to be a big initiation. It's going to be a Glastonbury experience, and that's exactly why our presentation will be so relevant, because it's going to be about discernment. If you're going through process and someone tells you it's really something outside of you, it's really because of this belief system, and you're just able to to discern that and to see what's going on in your own body, being able to tell the difference between your process and belief systems from other people, or doom scenarios, being able to see through that, being able to see the light, because the light doesn't have an opposite. Like, this is like the most important red flag that I've seen confusing people, is like the idea that there's a battle between the light and the dark. And actually the light is universal. The light is so much bigger. So any battle is not, is held within this bigger perspective. And we gotta trust the light. We gotta trust our being. We gotta trust the light. We gotta trust the truth, and let go of all these like narratives that people are putting out there, like fear, red flags, like last years. It's like so distracting. So we're gonna like dig into that, and we're gonna like give some real like methods and techniques to help you to attune to your heart, like come back to that vibration of love where you discern things from your heart and not your mind.
Well,
So
thank you. I saw Adam really agree. I think, the dark defines the light, doesn't it? And that's, as I look at you, Adam, we're talking about Avalon and the veil, and it seems like that place is a place that maybe where the veil first came down, and now the veil is lifting. And what will you bring? What are you talking about there in Avalon, Glastonbury?
Yeah, I'll be talking about the Tuatha De Danann and the roots of magic and the roots of the tarot lineage and many magical lineages across the world. And
well, can you define Tuatha De Danann? Where does that come from, and what does it mean?
Yeah, sure, Alan. So essentially, in a time immemorial and a date that's not yet even known, but somewhere between the end of the pre-Diluvian era, the end of the last ice age and the Lesser Dryas, and the period that we see and call the rise of modern civilization, there was a group of beings who arrived in the British Isles riding clouds. In the oldest Celtic, ancient Irish poetry, they arrived riding clouds, bringing with them 4 sacred treasures from 3 islands in the sky. They landed on the Iron Mountain and brought these tools with them down to the earth. And when you start to look at the principles and the dynamics of these sacred tools, for some, they have essentially assumed immediately that these are just mythological ideas, because they are indeed connected to the elementals, fire, air, earth, water, the 4 directions, our relationship to the dynamics of energy on the planet in the masculine and feminine sense inside the body, sword, masculine, chalice, feminine, staff, masculine, stone, feminine, for example. But more importantly, I think it's worth recognizing that the descriptions of these tools are very much galactic technologies. A cauldron that could produce food for an army forever sounds a lot like a replicator to me. And when you look at a lot of the Christian stories of the things like the spear of destiny that pierced Jesus, and supposedly you could never lose a battle with the spear, well, that's actually the spear of Lug. The spear of Lug is that exact metaphysical weapon, but more than a weapon, it's actually a navigation instrument. It's an instrument for being able to see patterns unfolding in time through momentum. And once you can see how things are very likely to unfold, you can choose a direction through time that's going to enable the greatest peace, the greatest resolution, that kind of thing. So I'll be getting a lot into the depths of these magical tools and systems, and integrating that with a lot of the things that many of the audience out there probably have already been learning as they've been waking up and trying different things and exploring different toolkits and different traditions, and help to really bridge the reality that, Avalon was a massive resurgence of that wisdom and that knowledge from the star family that came together at that time. And that there are a lot of misconceptions, and there are a lot of frames that are just frankly wrong, including for a fact that, almost every single book that you can find on the historicity of Arthur, as they say, assumes immediately at the beginning of the book that the person that they're looking for had to have been a Christian.
Mm.
And that right there tells you that there are huge distortions in the historical narratives, because mostly it was monks who were recording the history around that time period.
Right.
And so this is sort of like the OG disinformation campaign strategy, the same way we're dealing with right now, in many ways, a lot of disinformation strategies to say, disconnect people from their ground current and their connection to the core of the earth by believing that the earth is a two-dimensional flat plane, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we're not even at 3D. For those of you into the 3D to 5D thing, they're not even at 3D at this point. They're in 2D, completely disconnected from their actual ground current. And that's a big deal, because your connection to the earth has everything to do with discernment, your capacity to receive that natural flow from the earth's gift, Gaia's gift. And that means what you do is you tend to try to take energy from other people's. Have you ever noticed how volatile a flat earther is if you get into a chat with them? I mean, you just even point out one logical inconsistency, and the next thing you know, you're being assaulted. And
Well,
this is
that's a good point, because they're so two-dimensional, they don't see that there could possibly be more dimensions, those flat earthers.
Well, it's tricky, and I have deep compassion, because the reality is we've all been lied to so much, and so much of our truths have been distorted so greatly that, you know, it's easy to get down the wrong pathway and to feel like, because everybody has been lying to you and your school was lying to you and a lot of our history is not true and things like that, that essentially it must mean everybody's lying to you. But that's the breaking, you know, and we need to mend. We need to remend by recognizing that there are many games of division being played, and we have to learn how to dance in a way that helps us love and integrate with each other. And that also means, of course, having discernment and helping each other to understand the deeper currents of what connects us and how we are together. And I think the goddess does a lot of that work.
And what you'll be doing is giving us a true history, as opposed to like the textbook sort of media version of it. It's great to know where it all came from. So thank you, Adam. Thanks for being here.
It'll be my honor and pleasure. I was there, so recalling such stories are a deep gift for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Adam will be there in Glastonbury, GlastonburyAscension.com. Laura, what are you going to be sharing in Glastonbury?
Well, I'm going to talk about this particular window that everybody refers to as Ascension. What are the things that really, validate this? I'm going to talk about, the mother energy returning to the core of the planet, how that relates to the 13th sign of Theicus, the Venus transits, and all that's taking place, how the ley lines have been really, healed, and what that does, to us, how we're a replica of the true planetary grid network, and the significance of this particular area in Glastonbury, and how it relates to sacred union and all the different archetypes and aspects, how much that is a part of our, soul history, and just reclaiming this remembrance and moving through these cycles with nature and all these levels of ourself is really what we're being called to do right now. And all the planetary alignments that we're experiencing are showing that this is the great cosmic intelligence that knows how to heal itself and repair itself just like we do. And how is that currently being hijacked? I'm going to touch upon, but I don't want to focus on, because we're in such a location of activation and sharing with one another. But yeah, I'm going to go into the galactic history of Tiamat, the Dragon Queen, how this relates to the land, the planetary grids, and this particular location, a lot about, all of that, and the significance of so much surrounding this area. And the elemental beings that we are, and how that relates to DNA and the ether element and mitochondrial DNA, and how we've been carrying very damaged mitochondrial DNA in connection with the mother because of so much rewritten history and falsified information about the truth of all of this and how we've been kept from our own galactic history. And how can we heal as a humanity if we're referring to memories that aren't real, that have been rewritten, that have been kept from us? We can't do that with our own childhood when we reflect upon it if we don't really dig deep and get to the roots. So I'll be taking people on a bit of a journey, and I'll kind of leave it at that.
That is so great. This sounds like a real exciting history lesson. And not just history, but, you know, that's a kind of intellectual thing where you can feel it in your body in these locations. You're actually feeling the history when you go to these sacred places. So that's what's feeling and hearing a bit and activating and actualizing it, really. So, Nan, what will you be sharing?
Yes, wonderful. So I am very into experience as a shaman. This is a soul retrieval. I truly believe the quest, the idea of the quest for the Holy Grail, that's the chalice, that's the divine feminine, that's our own chalice that's been hidden. And so it's an experience. If you feel called, there's a reason. This is an initiation of you back into that soul, reclaiming parts of your soul. So we're going to be going on a journey. I'm going to take you on a shamanic healing, on a soul retrieval, into calling the goddess, the sacred earth, the sacred currents, the sacred waters, all of them. I also have some oracle cards. This is one of them. This is the dragon Delphine from Delphi, who was Gaia's daughter, and she was charged to protect Delphi, which is the navel of the world, which is the source of Gaia's power that was taken over by the sacred masculine. And so a lot of these, I'll have these too. We're also going to be doing some time traveling. This is one of our time traveler oracle cards, because this is a place, like everyone has said, where the portals are opening, the currents are raising their energy, and there's an opportunity here, if you feel called at all, for your truth to come alive in a way that you've never experienced. So it's truly an initiation. And the heart chakra is bigger. It isn't just your little heart. It isn't just somebody giving you a hug. This is the truth of where the cauldron, like Adam says, of where we create in the divine. So come and be involved with this, because it's going to be a journey. I can just tell with everyone here. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, this is a good taste of how deep it's going to go. And we are just at the surface. We're going to drop deeper and deeper. E, what about you? What are you going to be sharing?
So I'm going to be speaking about full body ascension, the awakening of the Kundalini and expansion into the Merkaba light body, vehicle of ascension to the kingdoms. I'm also going to be assisting you all in tuning into the vision of the coming kingdoms and really stepping into your role as a kingdom ambassador, because, you know, there is this collective destiny where we all come together and we work together as one human species to usher in the new earth. And so I'm going to be assisting you in holding the vision and tuning into this highest timeline of ascension.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Debbie, what about you?
Yes. I'm so excited. First of all, I'm reading all the comments that people are posting on YouTube from all over the world, loving this conversation, appreciating us. And I just want to send love back to all of you for tuning in and being with us and being interested in this, because it's so important. I just want to preface what I'm doing by saying this. This time of awakening is like no joke. I am experiencing seeing things out there in the mainstream in ways never before. This conversation we're having, I can have almost anywhere, almost. Maybe not middle America yet, but almost. And I'm shocked at the people who will shake their heads like, yes, I've had spacecraft experience too. Yes, I'm totally into the extraterrestrials. Yes, sacred sites. Like, it's everywhere. And just case in point, today alone, I received an email from a gentleman who's a New York Times reporter who he sent me something this long saying, I follow your work, I follow your podcast, I follow what you're doing in the world, and New York Times reporter, and told me his story, and he's channeling, right? And it's like incredible. And somebody else reached out to me, I think it was in Facebook today, and said, I guess in preparation to be with you guys, and said, he works at Good Morning America. And he was same kind of vibe. Like, I've been following you. I love what you're doing. And, you know, here's what I'm doing. And thank you all for being such a contribution at a time when you are so needed, because you are all, everybody watching on YouTube, all of us here, we are pieces of the puzzle of the heaven here on earth. And where I am headed when I do this, and I can't wait to hear everybody else's presentations. What's great about this, I want to say, different than a lot of events, is there are not juxtapositions of, you know, at this hour you could see any of the 5 of us, but not all of us. Each presentation is alone, so we can literally enjoy each other. And mine in particular is my passion and my subject and my, I guess, expertise, if you will, which is specifically where do extraterrestrials and shamanism intersect, how the indigenous have always known about the ETs and their work there. And the final thing is I'm going to be taking people through a very specific healing process that will give them power, first of all, at a time when power and rising into sovereignty is so important, and also protection at a time when it is a little chaotic and volatile. And so to be protected, whether one-on-one or in a group, that you will always have this shamanic protection around you. It's a gorgeous protection that you can have and even take home to practice once we're done. And the great thing is, however you come in, whatever level of being you come in, once you go through this experience, you will be transcended to a whole different blissful place. So yeah, it is mine to give everybody a respite and some healing and some new tools.
Beautiful. Well, this has just been a taste of what is coming to Glastonbury in September with these teachers and few more, and it's going to be a great convergence of a kind of spiritual awakening and initiation that taps us beyond the veil into these other realms. So thank you everyone for watching. I'm Alan Steinfeld. Thank you all for being here. And we're going to do more of these as we start to make our way to the Glastonbury Ascension weekend. Thank you.
Alan.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody. Thanks, you
Bye.
guys.
Bye. Thanks, Neil.
Much love.